Sonic the Hedgehog. The man, the myth, the hog. I'm pretty sure everyone knows who Sonic the Hedgehog is. I'm sure everyone knows who Sega is. And I'm pretty sure everyone knows what a hedgehog is. Maybe. Maybe not that last part. Sonic the Hedgehog has been a video game icon since as far back as 1991, and basically acting as a rival to that of Nintendo's own mascot, Mario. The first game to ever introduce Sonic wasn't even a Sonic game necessarily, but I believe a driving game made by Sega at the time, featuring a tiny little blue hedgehog thing you hang right around your mirror, sort of like a what do they call them? Car freshener. One of them kind of ornaments, or fuzzy dice. So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog was sort of this phenomenon that a lot of people enjoyed. And honestly, I do respect that because, Sonic was kind of fun. So, what is the agenda? What is with this intro? Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be exploring we're going to be going through a little trip I call the Archie trip. What is the Archie trip? Well, we are basically going to be going through the Archie comics. Most of them, anyway. So, yes, we'll be going through Sonic the Hedgehog, the miniseries, the one-shots, Sonic X, Sonic Boom, Sonic Universe, the whole 9 miles, basically. This is gonna be a long one. This is gonna be a long series, ladies and gentlemen. But don't worry, I will be keeping things fairly organized for the most part. So yes, let's just jump right in to Sonic issue number 0. Technically, this is the start of a Sonic miniseries. This is the first of a few miniseries, but it was a miniseries regardless, and it was the first ever. So let's just begin. So the first issue we have, now I'm going to be going over the art, and I'm going to go over who wrote it and who wrote the stories and all that, and just generally anything that pops into mind. So, the first issue here, this is the premiere issue, as the book proudly proclaims. Robotnik looks very on model. He looks very on model. He looks very cool. And, he's generally kind of cool. Actually, hold on. Sorry about that. I decided just to go ahead and record, make this just a little bit easier. Recording not just on Audacity, but also on my OBS. So, yeah. Anyway, so I just want to go ahead and give you the visual here. Robotnik here is on model. He looks like what he looks like in the games for the most part. I guess, something I should probably get into, throughout most of this series, up until a certain point, Robotnik here, Eggman, rather, if you are from Japan, or you just happen to know him as Eggman, he is called, Robotnik here in America, and in other English-speaking countries. He was referred to as Robotnik here because I believe it's because it just sounded more threatening, more diabolical or something like that. But yeah. That's generally the thought process behind the reason for Robotnik being called Robotnik is because he is basically, he basically uses robots. That's about it. The robots themselves are also called badniks. So yeah. Anyway, basically just shows Robotnik chasing Sonic in what can be assumed to be Green Hill Zone. No wrecking ball, unfortunately, but oh well. And here we are introduced to our main characters and our main villains. So on the left side, you'll notice a few characters. Now, I believe these comics was released in around, 1993, according to what's down at the bottom of the page. These were released in 1993, which means Sonic 2 had released, I believe, just a few months ago. So, Tails being in here is, it's on par. However, you'll notice the other three characters outside of Sonic and Tails, and you'll also notice the term Knot Hole Village. Knot Hole is the home of the Freedom Fighters. If the term Freedom Fighters strikes a chord in someone, good or bad, then you'll know that the Freedom Fighters refer to a group of teens who essentially banded together to fight Robotnik as he made a coup against the Royal Kingdom of Acorn. That's basically the general plot line. This basically all comes from Sonic SatAM, or also referred to as Sonic the Hedgehog Saturday Morning, which was a Saturday morning cartoon featuring Sonic the Hedgehog, featuring a darker, grittier setting for the cast. It was actually kind of interesting because it was, a different look. This was basically, it was not quite the dark age of Sonic yet, but it was interesting to see it quite this early. The edge, I guess you call it. Of note, you have Boomer, aka Rotor, as he would be later called in this story. He's called Boomer in SatAM, so yeah, they had to stick to the story. Sally Acorn, I'm sure everyone and their mother knows who Sally Acorn is by now. Sort of the princess. You'll notice that her colors are a little off. This is because I believe Archie only had the bare minimum of notes from SatAM. So Sally is going to be very discolored for a while. You get used to it. I believe they recolored her next issue, but they didn't quite get her colors right until the main series. That's basically going to be it. And Antoine's a jerk. We all know this. And then we also have our bad guys. Robotnik here is of note. Robotnik uses the design from SatAM. Once again, it looks like they just kind of based him off general design notes. So, he's got a robotic arm. He's got... Notice that he does not have his black sclera with red eyes. He actually has regular eyes in this one. And his mustache isn't quite as bushy as it usually is. So yeah, this is more of an early concept art version of SatAM Robotnik, which is kind of funny. We have Buzz Bomber, Cluck, Crabmeat, and Caterkiller. These are all, I believe all but Cluck are robots from the first and second Sonic games. But anyway, this one just features Robotnik chasing after Sonic. Nothing too important there. It's kind of reason why I'd concentrate on the characters rather than the art, than the page itself. However, one last thing, I also want to give special credit to Mike Gallagher. Mike Gallagher there is the guy who did a lot of the scripting and art. Oh, art. Sorry. Most of the scripting. Basically, he did a lot of the writing. Let's see. Was there anything else I should note? Scott Shaw, I believe. Was the main artist for this, but yeah. But yeah, your general credits down at the bottom of the page. Michael Gallagher is who you're want to pay attention to the most, though, because he pops up quite a lot. So yeah. Continuing on from that first page, Sonic is avoiding Robotnik as he sprays what I can only imagine to be oil from his Eggmobile. I don't think it was called the Eggmobile yet. I believe it was just called... Actually, I'm not even sure if it actually ever had an official name at all. It was just called the Eggmobile by convenience much later on. Until Sonic is stopped by Caterkiller. Now he's surrounded by a Badnik and a Baddie. And, well, yeah, it doesn't quite end well for Robotnik as he misses his shot and destroys his own Caterkiller. Now, also of note, notice that a Mobini, which is the tiny animals that you rescue in Sonic the Hedgehog, those do not come out of here. To keep it in line with Sonic Stadium, the robots here do not contain animals, but rather, although not showcased, the animals themselves are robots. It's not showcased here, and it won't be showcased for a while until we get into the main series, but it is something of note. So anyway, Sonic heads into the woods and goes into Knothole. Get used to seeing this map. We'll be seeing this map in the early issues for quite some time. So yeah, in case you want to know where that slide goes, there you go. So here we are greeted with our heroes of the day. We have Rotor and Tails greeting him. Sally as well. Sally, of course, off model. Tails here is not like Tails you see in modern Sonic, where he's practically a genius. Like I don't know where they started getting the genius part. I mean, I know the characterization came in roughly around Sonic Adventure, but I always kind of assumed Tails started getting smart after I want to say Sonic Heroes or Sonic 06. Not sure where. Anyway, so yeah, Sonic and Sally have their moment. Now, to note, Sonic and Sally had this will they, won't they relationship. This is before Sega ever came around and said, no, Sonic is never to have a girlfriend or boyfriend if he really wants to run that. I ain't gonna judge. But yeah, this was before Sega said no to the idea of romance for Sonic. So yeah, Sonic and Sally are basically boyfriend, girlfriend. They're kind of in this position of will they, won't they. So anyway, as Antoine is talking, suddenly the roof is starting to leak. Something bad is happening, and well, something like that. Pretty sure. Okay, it's just a leak. Never mind. So here we have actually kind of a funny page. This is very, very funny when you look at the first panel of this page. We have Dr. Robotnik, Supreme Dictator, Industrial Polluter, Megalomaniac, I didn't expect that to be here, Corrupt Politician, Underhanded Reprobate, I don't even know what that means, but whatever, it sounds bad, Rainforest Ravager, Puppy Kicker, Oil Spill Coordinator, Holiday Hater, Insurance Salesman. Rights violate while you wait. I love this panel just so much. It describes Eggman or Robotnik in this case in such a funny way. It's too good. Anyway, so yeah, he's just basically commanding his badniks to try and find Sonic, try and basically flush him out, figuratively and or literally. The Freedom Fighters, let's see, what are they doing? Okay, so they're basically trying to figure out the source of the leak. They happen to find the forest. They happen to find the forest just basically wet right now. And then suddenly they get attacked by Robotnik, as he now is wielding his traditional wrecking ball. You know what? Looking back at the first set of pages, I probably should have realized that maybe it was the goop thing that he... Wait, does he have a goop thing in Sonic 1? I'm trying to remember what all weapons Robotnik uses in Sonic 1, and I think one of them was like a goop dispenser. Maybe it was from Sonic 2, actually, now that I think about it. I'm not sure. I'd have to look back at that now. Anyway. So here we get into a literal wishing well, and he gets a power ring. So power rings are interesting, and they kind of... power rings basically vary from series to series. In Sonic Stadium, power rings were used primarily as Sonic's go-to weapon, quote-unquote, where Sonic would pull one out and basically use it to power himself up. His abilities would enhance based on that. The similar concept would also come in Sonic X. I remember a particular scene while Amy's in the tornado, she would toss a ring at Sonic, and he would instantly do a spin dash. I remember that. Anyone else remember that? I remember that. Sonic. So yeah. I never watched Sonic Underground, but I imagine power rings are in that series as well, and I imagine it helped Sonic, Sonia, and Manic in there. But let me know on that in the comment section. So anyway, Sonic basically does the opposite of what most players would do when fighting the Wrecking Ball boss, and just hit the ball back at Robotnik, smashing his Eggmobile. As he basically just heads out. So yeah, it's a very minor plot here. I can't believe Sonic just did the opposite of what a normal player would do in a situation like this. So I skipped ahead. So I skipped a few pages, by the way, when I was getting these. I decided to not get a few certain pages because they just kind of feel like filler, and I want to concentrate on the main stories of these comics for the time being. Anyway, here we have Oh No, Robo, Nomo, Mobo. That is a hell of a name. I would love to see someone pronounce all that without screwing up once. Anyway, this is actually our introduction to another SatAM character, Uncle Chuck. Now, in SatAM, I don't think we've actually seen Uncle Chuck de-roboticize, so this is actually kind of a treat. And we were also introduced to Sonic's dog, Mutsky. Mutsky is an interesting character. So how do I get into this? So I guess you can kind of consider Mutsky a Mobini. So you remember when I said that Mobinis are basically these wild creatures that are basically these tiny little animals that are inside the robots? Well, there are Mobinis in this particular comic, although rarely seen. They do exist. I'm not sure if Mutsky would count as one. He doesn't count as a Mobian either. He's just a straight up dog. I'm not sure. As well as that, Mobinis also have the ability to talk. Mutsky does not, at least beyond barking. Once again, this story here is made by Mike Gallagher, and Scott Shaw. Gotta get credit where credit's due. Anyway, so another thing that is part of Sonic's character is his love for chili dogs. This guy loves chili dogs. Sort of an American thing. We love our hot dogs. What can you say? So this is basically just sort of a flashback. Sonic is basically just, hanging out with his uncle. He's hanging out with his uncle and dog. Get some chili dogs. And Uncle Chuck here gets a call, an order for a lot of chili dogs. To the right, I love the. Here we also get the first mention of Robotropolis. Robotropolis is basically where the Kingdom of Acorn, or rather the capital of Acorn, rather, was once. I guess you can say placed. It went from being called Mobotropolis to Robotropolis. That's basically need to know. We'll get more into that later down the line, but yeah, Robotnik's here is just, having a laugh with this sign with Buzz Bomber. So yeah, Uncle Chuck is stacking a bunch of those chili dogs using a ladder, and he gets immediately kidnapped by a SWAT-bot. This is our first introduction to SWAT-bots. SWAT-bots were a SatAM exclusive badnik that would appear mostly to serve Robotnik. Obviously, they're sort of like the main foot soldier throughout all of SatAM. Kind of cool, kind of nice. Like them, love them. Anyway, we have Sonic just kind of delivering those chili dogs to Robotropolis. Not really, kind of slightly unaware. Also, I love the not welcome mat there. That's funny. Anyway, Clucker decides to say, "Heck no, I didn't order these chili dogs." Anyway, so yeah, Clucker just obviously it's a trap. Smash, and almost hits Sonic. Sonic heads back and then finds that Uncle Chuck and Mutski are gone, and his chili dog shack is now destroyed. Now, I think it's worth noting. This hasn't been established yet, but Uncle Chuck did have a shack in a chili dog shack, long abandoned now, in Mobotropolis, now called Robotropolis. I don't know, figure out I mention that now, but yeah. Sonic is obviously not very happy. He tries to attack the SWAT bots and succeeds in destroying them, but he's still kind of angry. He wants to go find his uncle and his dog. Someone sneaks up behind him, and it turns out to be Princess Sally Acorn herself. She tries to stop Sonic from doing a reckless hero job of going into a facility without a plan. Basically trying to save Sonic from getting potentially hurt by buzz bombers. Before the two decide to go into Robotropolis and finds Uncle Chuck, Mutski, and other Mobians. Now, here we have here's something interesting. So I don't think they actually had a design for roboticized Uncle Chuck yet, or roboticized Mutski, because here they just kind of look like they're hypnotized. Funny how this comes back for Rotor. The Mobians here are just simply hypnotized. They call it roboticization, but ain't quite that yet. But but don't worry, we'll get proper robotization later in the main series. Just know that these Mobians, I guess you can technically call them, now loyal to Robotnik now. As they just basically try to, as you can see, Uncle Chuck is now swearing his allegiance to Robotnik here. Robotnik captures Princess Sally, tries to go after Sonic, commands his swap boss to do the dirty work. Of course, Sonic ain't gonna, he ain't gonna take that line down. Leaves a tornado in Robotropolis, and from here they decide to form a pact of being the Freedom Fighters. And Sonic breaks the fourth wall by telling you, hey, you want to see more? Write to us in Sonograms, which was a thing for a while. I don't have the Sonograms available with these particular scans, but yeah. There were Sonograms. Anyway, issue 1. Yeah, this is actually where the official miniseries begins. The first issue. Now, the last one was just a preliminary. The art here is done by Scott Shaw. And look how menacing fucking Robotnik looks. Jesus. Like, red eyes and all. Like, it actually looks kind of like something you'd see on the cover art of a SatAM, like, DVD or something. Sally here, she now has been recolored. Not quite her colors yet. She's not the redhead brown chipmunk that we're all familiar with, but we're getting closer. She's now pink with her blue boots. I think her boots were the right color. Just Also, you'll notice that Sally does not have a vest. That's going to come into play later. But yeah. By the way, I hope you're not sick of Mohawk Sonic yet, because Mohawk Sonic is here to stay for a little while longer. Anyway, water break. Gotta love water. All right. So this one is kind of interesting. Look at poor Tails. He's basically a silhouette in Sonic's dust. So this one is written by Michael Gallagher once again. Scott Shaw is going to be doing the art for a while, so get used to it. Can I mention those lines above Sonic, by the way? Those look wrong. Actually, there's quite a few of these lines. I guess they just want to keep the black from black and all that, but in particular, it looks kind of weird on Sonic here. Anyway, so Sonic notices Sally, and questions what exactly she's doing here. Sally, let's see. Sally's in a hurry. Basically, she tells off Sonic, basically saying that she's she's busy with something, probably royal duties. Sonic decides to head back to Knothole, only to get stopped by Antoine, and Antoine shows a royal proclamation, in which Sally has decided to go ahead and arrange a meeting with Dr. Robotnik in order to negotiate the return of King Acorn. Oh boy. So I guess this kind of brings up now. So King Acorn is, of course, Sally's father. I'm sure most of us would know that if they've either read this comic or watched SatAM. Part of the plotline to SatAM is that Sally wants to get back her father from, I believe it's called the Void in the show. It's called something else in this one, but don't worry about it for now. It's of very little relevance. But in the show itself, Robotnik threw King Acorn into the Void, and to put it nicely, Sally's an idiot for thinking, we should, maybe I should ask Robotnik to bring my father back, because, he's the one who tossed him into the void. I'm sure he'll agree. That's a good plan. That's a good plan indeed. So, yeah, she decides to go meet up with Sally, or rather, Sally goes to meet up with a Buzz Bomber in order to negotiate a meeting place. Buzz Bomber here, looking a little sus. He's looking a little suspicious. I don't want to say anything. I genuinely don't want to say anything, but Buzz Bomber might be the imposter. I'm just saying. Okay, that's not the only. Excuse me. That's not the only Among Us joke I'm gonna be making, by the way. Don't get used to it. So yeah. By the way, in case it wasn't obvious, Sonic, Tails, and Antoine are very much against the idea of Sally meeting Robotnik, because that is a bad idea times 10. They get captured, obviously. Sally gets literally dropped right down a chute, Santa Claus style, or reverse Santa Claus style, meeting up with Robotnik. By the way, I should now mention that his eyes are now properly colored black sclera, but he now has white eyes. I should also probably bring up that while the color variation is different a little bit, Robotnik does, while his colors are still kind of correct, his it ain't quite. I believe in the show, Robotnik's outfit was just a little darker, to fit in with the darker tone and all that. And also because of his very dreary city. So yeah, Sally gets what's coming to her, because of course it's a bad idea to trust Robotnik. That's kind of the thing with Eggman in general. You don't trust him. You don't trust him at all. If anything, you make sure you have your cards before you play him, because otherwise he is going to stab you in the back. So yeah, Robotnik here is preparing Sally for the roboticizer, referred to as a robo-machine, made in Robotropolis, assembled in Mexico. One of very few references to real life you'll see throughout this comic, and it starts off pretty subtle, but we'll gradually get some hard bombshells eventually. Anyway, so as Robotnik is preparing to throw Sally into the roboticizer, something catches the SWATbot's attention, and soon enough, it's Sonic. Sonic barges right in, crashes the party, and basically, Robotnik tries to pull out his ray gun, finding that Antoine basically took the gun. Now, I should mention that Antoine is called Antoine Decula. This is the first time we're seeing his last name here. Antoine Decula was not his last name in the actual show Sadiam, but yeah, with, I forget what his last name is in Antoine's last name is in Sadiam, but yeah, they changed it to Decula in this one, which is actually kind of a cooler name. Although I feel like maybe Antoine's just called the Coyote, Antoine the Coyote, like Rotor the Walrus. The only one who probably didn't have a proper last name in Sadiam, I think, was Sally, but I'll look it up later. Anyway, but yeah, Robotnik is clearly not very happy. Sonic goes in for the kill, smashes the roboticizer, and that is it. He is basically Robotnik is he's held at gunpoint, by the way. Yeah, I forgot about that part. He's held at gunpoint by Antoine. That basically just went pretty well. Anyway, Sally's taken back. Obviously, she's maybe just a little annoyed at the fact that things just kind of went really bad. Now, Sally isn't very pleased about being rescued. She... I feel like Sally is a spoiled princess sometimes, but yeah, she's a little ungrateful with the whole idea. So here's so as it turns out, as I'm reading this, yeah, guess what? You're actually seeing me live read these comics. Isn't that funny? Sally wanted to be put into the robo machine in order to analyze it and perhaps reverse the effects on it to free everyone. Unfortunately, Sonic wasn't very smart, nor was Antoine or Tails in this case. Oh well. A bit of a shame, but maybe so. But technically, this is Sally's fault because maybe she should have let everyone in on the plan. Maybe stop going at it alone. You're not Shadow. Anyway, another one for the books. Michael Gallagher, Scott Shaw, the team. So this one's called Some Fishing, and for once we don't get to see Robotnik, but rather this guy. Referred to at, I believe he was, I forget what it was called earlier, but basically this guy is the equivalent of a termite. I think his name is Jaws or something. Something like that. Anyway, so this guy, I will now refer to him as Chompers. Basically starts to eat the dock that is eating the dock. Sonic notices that the Chompers here is a mechanical fish, and basically, the lake is being polluted by water. So Sonic decides. So yeah, as he's mumbling, Chompers is eating the support, causing Sonic to basically go underwater. Now, something of note is that later iterations of Sonic, and especially modern Sonic right now, has what I think is called aquaphobia. Basically a fear of water. This was not an established character thing in the early years of Sonic. Rather, this was an established thing much, much later. So yeah, Sonic did not have a fear of water. Although, one thing to note about the last panel down there, Sonic can't swim. That much is not according to the games. He cannot swim. Anyway, Sonic decides to follow Chompers here and gets caught in a trap. And in which case, Chompers basically states that he intends to turn Sonic into a robot. Rotor and Tails, basically, Rotor and Tails catch up and find the dock is now gone. Rotor pulls out a submarine and intends to find out what's going on with Tails. This is before Tails' adventure, by the way. Tails' solo adventures, I should say. I love the pun here. You finny fiend! I mean, what'd you expect? So yeah, Chompers tries to pull Sonic into the roboticizer. Sonic gets himself out. However, he's starting to lose air because, of course, there are no bubbles to save him. Insert the drowning theme. Sonic begins to lose oxygen until Rotor comes in with the saves Sonic by blasting chompers, and yeah. Sonic here does gulp down some bubbles so that way he can breathe, and makes like a torpedo and destroys the roboticizer. Chompers escapes, bashing his head on the way, and that's basically the end of that. Sonic saved today as usual with some help. This particular page here I decided to bring up because I wanted to point out a particular little thing aside from the obvious reference of the good, the bad, the ugly. We got look at Bunny there. By the way, this is the earliest we've seen Bunny in this comic. This is the earliest we'll be seeing of her for a while. But look at Bunny. Those colors look so wrong. Those colors. What did they do to you, Bunny? Someone did not pay attention to the art. Like, I mean, like, okay, obviously she is half roboticized and all, but it's like, I'm pretty sure only her right arm and her legs were roboticized. The rest of her should be fine, not her chest there. Chest is not roboticized. I think I pointed out. I don't know why I did. I just did. But anyway, this is issue 2. I feel like I'm freaking out for nothing. Anyway, so I feel like this particular cover is supposed to be like a from back thing. Like in the back you see what I would imagine to be a Robotnik firing a missile at Sonic. So yeah, Sonic is kind of running away with the text zoom. Yeah, you can tell this is a very interesting series so far. We're only in the beginning. We've got well over 290 issues to go through. Well over 300. Well over 500. We're gonna be here a while, so strap in. Mike Gallagher, Scott Shaw, you know the drill. So here we have the crowning achievement: Sonic basically rushing in to the call of his name by Sally, and here Sally gives Sonic a treasure in which she wants him to essentially crown him during a coronation. However, and now I should mention this is not the actual crown of acorns. This is a fake one. Well, this is actually way before the crown of acorns was properly introduced. The crown of acorns was something we'll get into way later, but let's just say that yeah, essentially it has some form of importance. Antoine assembles the royal guard because he himself is a royal guardsman, and this is the earliest we see of Hamlin. I'm kidding, this is not Hamlin, not quite anyway. Don't worry, we'll get into Hamlin, but just bear with me. Anyway, so Sonic opens the chest, finds the crown gone. The crown is gone. Antoine and Sally are naturally kind of shocked. And, well, yeah. Anyway, so Antoine decides to play a game of Among Us because he suspects that one of his personally trained guardsmen may have stolen the crown. Now, by the way, if you think that the alligator on the far right here is maybe an early Vector, don't worry, he is not. Though it should be mentioned that Vector was introduced as early as 1991, I believe, because he was part of the same sort of he was part of the same sort of band as Sonic, as part of a promotional artwork. The other band members never show up again. Anyway, so basically what how Sonic finds out about the about who the imposter is I'm not sure how this logic works. He runs around in a circle, burning rubber, according to what's oh, okay. He activates the smoke detectors. I get it. Okay, never mind. So the sprinkler system comes in, rains on all the guardsmen, and lo and behold, Hamlin, or rather, as I said, not Hamlin, was basically the imposter the whole time. Kind of funny that, considering, well, you know, how Hamlin kind of became such a bit of a dick later on in the series. Oh boy, that's gonna be fun to go through, isn't it? Anyway, so evil Hamlin basically gets chucked out, and that's the end of part 1. Sally thinks Sonic is dead. Of course not. You know, we wouldn't kill off the main character this soon. Sally basically is a bit shamed. So, you know, obviously Sally almost let slip that she loved Sonic. This is probably the earliest that we see of Sonic, or rather we see of the relationship between Sonic and Sally. That'll evolve over time, don't worry. Anyway, so basically Sonic, let's see, so yeah, Sonic basically just explains how exactly he got Hamlin out of there. So yeah, we basically jump to Sonic finding the Robotnik hot air balloon. Little minor note: I love how the the balloon itself has a mustache. Robotnik is such a egotist that he put a mustache on his own balloon. That's too funny. Anyway, so Sonic and Antoine are more or less forced into working together. I don't know if you know, but Antoine and Sonic do not get along in these early comics. In fact, they pretty much hate each other. Part of the reason is because they're both like competitors over Sally's heart. So yeah, Sally is not taking any of their BS right now and wants them to actually work together. Now of all things, this is kind of funny. Antoine here is essentially using a hot air balloon. Yeah, it's basically using a hot air balloon. This was something that we brought back later, but yeah, Anyway, so the two head to the Robotnik balloon. Get stopped by a bunch of bat robots and buzz bombers. One buzz bomber pops the hot air balloon. Sonic decides to play a good game of Mario and jump on one enemy after another. Seriously, I'd be surprised if he didn't get a 1-up out of that. And of course, smashes the balloon and destroys a swap bot containing one of the Freedom Emeralds. By the way, I guess I kind of skipped over this, but the crown also had Freedom Emeralds. I don't know if they actually found the crown itself, but yeah, they needed. Apparently, these Freedom Emeralds are kind of important to it. The crown never shows up again, by the way, and also neither do the Freedom Emeralds. This is the only time they are ever mentioned. They just gone in an instant. Anyway, so Sonic tosses the Freedom Emerald to Antoine and goes to find the other Freedom Emeralds. Sonic meets Tails along the way and drags Tails literally basically drags Tails along for the ride. Sonic notices. I love how Sonic doesn't immediately notice that he dragged Tails for a ride. That's kind of funny. Chompers comes back. By the way, Chompers is back, and I swear this one panel with Chompers is like a direct reference to Jaws. Like the Jaws promotional poster. Kind of funny that. Anyway, Chompers comes in, snaps at the duo. Sonic and Tails escape, find the Freedom Emerald, and get the heck out of what, and basically do a Looney Tunes on Chompers here. Like, seriously, that's straight up Looney Tunes. Continuing on their little adventure, Sonic leaves the Freedom Emerald to Tails. However, he spots a SWATbot holding one of those Freedom Emeralds, the third of which. Of course, Sonic just happens to fall for a trap, a very obvious trap by a drill bot, or rather, Burrowbot. My bad. So yeah, Burrowbot tries to attack Sonic. Sonic, of course, runs away, almost gets caught by Burrowbot, but Sonic, with his quick wits, basically takes the last two of those Freedom Emeralds. Now, Sonic happens to get tired here. Honestly, it's kind of rare seeing Sonic actually get tired from running so long. I think the only time I've seen it actually happen, recently anyway, was in the Metal Virus, where Sonic actually does get tired from running for so long because he has to keep the Metal Virus at bay. Because otherwise, if he runs too long, or rather, if he doesn't run at all, the Metal Virus just takes over. So, basically that. Sonic decides to do a big brain move and dig himself upward. Fun fact, hedgehogs do dig, by the way. Just figure I'd let you know. The hedgehogs do, in fact, dig holes, so this is kind of in character for him. He digs all the way to Knothole and into Rotor's shop. He gives the last two of the Freedom Emeralds to Sally. Rotor fixes the crown. Crown is on Sally's head. The end. The story is over. Robotnik, despite having made a minor appearance earlier, basically vents his frustrations that he is never included into the comic. Oh yeah, I included this one because I wanted to just point out the miscoloring on Rotor. Why is he all purple? Why is he all purple? That's not how he's supposed... Like, Scott Shaw, what happened? Like, seriously, what happened? Anyway, nice little photo. See you next month, Sonic. Okay, anyway, this is the last issue. Basically the end of this little preliminary episode, I guess you call it. We have Sonic just kind of standing there, tapping his foot before he goes in for a run, and it just kind of progresses to him getting progressively faster as his face stretches out. Oh, it's funny. I love it. So yeah, Sonic is in the middle of a big tussle with Robotnik. Robotnik smashes the cliff he's on with a wrecking ball, usual. Sonic slams to the ground and gets knocked out as he basically gets taken to his childhood. Of course, my Gallagher. This time we actually have a new artist, Dave Manak. Dave Manak, I believe, becomes a fairly frequent artist in these earlier issues. I'll have to check, but yeah. Anyway, my Gallagher, he's sort of been with us. He's going to be with us for a long while, at least until issue 10, where issue 10 of the main series, I should say, where a certain someone decides to pop in. Now, it's here that we get into a bit of a flashback of certain proportions. As now, I should mention this is considered not canon anymore. These preliminary issues, gotta love them. Anyway, so Sonic is smashing Robotnik's usual badniks, and basically, we get introduced to, we get a certain flashback. Now, there are a few different discrepancies I want to bring up. First off, Uncle Chuck making a power ring, or as he calls it here, a magical ring. He creates a power ring, and it should be noted that this would be later retconned because he was not the originator of these power rings. It gets explained later. Anyway, Sonic runs in. He checks out the new power ring, but then immediately tells Uncle Chuck about a certain younger Robotnik, and I'm just gonna say it right now. It looks very weird seeing Robotnik without a fucking mustache. What is with him? He's like, I don't even know, but yeah, we meet with what I call Baby Robotnik. Let's not go with that name. Let's go with Kid Robotnik. So Kid Robotnik, sort of, has a hatred toward hedgehogs. Sonic, so this kind of just establishes like an early relationship between the two. So Sonic and Robotnik basically don't like each other. They kind of lived with Uncle Chuck in this particular timeline. I guess Uncle Chuck was a farmer. Huh. I guess I do live in the boonies, so... Anyway. Obviously, Robotnik is up to all kinds of stuff. This is kind of just an unusual... it's just kind of an unusual chapter in early Archie Sonic, because this was before they established a sort of lore that they have later where Robotnik actually comes from an Overlanders, like the Overlanders side of a war. We'll get into that when we get into it, but let's just say that by the way, I do love this little this little quote here where Robotnik says, "I hog hedge hates." Oh yeah, I should mention. I should probably mention that this was also a frequent phrase that I believe the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog in May Stadium Robotnik would say is, "I hate hedgehogs," or "I hate that hedgehog." This was a frequent phrase in these earlier comics because, well, naturally. So Sonic comes out, helps Uncle Chuck, they're badly hurt. He decides to grab a power ring, enhances his abilities, takes Uncle Chuck and Robotnik to the hospital. Everything is good and dandy. Robotnik, of course, he's a bad boy. He plans on destroying Sonic, even in his childhood. Uncle Chuck and Sonic are making more power rings before Robotnik sticks out his largest, most powerful robot. He intends to destroy Uncle Chuck and Sonic. Sonic plays the hero, of course, destroys the robot, saves Uncle Chuck, and when you know it, we're back to present day with Sonic basically waking up, and adventure continues. God, I felt like I just went through I feel like I just kind of went through a word marathon there. Holy shit. Anyway, Next one. Why ask Spy? I feel like this was a reference to Mike Gallagher's earlier works of Spy versus Spy. The title alone, anyway. This is not an actual direct reference to it. Yeah, Mike Gallagher worked on the Spy versus Spy stuff. It's actually in his, I want to say his IMDb. So anyway, Rotor is basically building something here in the background as Sally calls in Sonic. By the way, Mike Gallagher is the writer. Dave Manak, is the artist here. I love how Sally is just keeping track, saying, "Gee, it took you 5.2 seconds to get here. You must be slowing down." I love it. Anyway, so Rotor here is basically working on something. He puts on a mask, which makes him seem like he's been quote-unquote roboticized, but in actuality is in fact a disguise meant to help Sonic infiltrate Robotropolis. So they decided to test it out. Sonic actually looks very menacing. Although I don't think the chompers are necessary. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't think the chompers are necessary. Anyway, so they decided to test it out with... So they decided to try and get... Robotnik's attention by having Sonic basically act like he's chasing Sally. Tails comes in, gets... Tails quote-unquote defends Sally. Sonic retreats, quote-unquote. Tails decides to make his own sort of newspaper saying that he is now a hero. Buzz Bomber comes in, grabs it, takes it over to Robotnik, only to find that Sonic is there already. Robotnik basically tries to demand the location of Knothole, which is something is also prevalent in the show. Knothole is hidden to Robotnik. He does not know where Knothole is. I feel like I should have mentioned that earlier. I don't know if I did, but if I didn't, oh well. Knothole is sort of hidden to Robotnik. That's kind of the big thing. So yeah, Sonic basically is been in a rock and a hard place, as now he needs to quickly think about how he's going to get around not telling the location of Knothole. Robotnik, of course, is very impatient. But then, luckily for Sonic, there was a thing going on, and, Robotnik gets a little distracted by it. Sonic goes out to, quote-unquote, help and, help out Robotnik by, losing track here, sorry. Sonic goes out to, quote-unquote, help out, and eventually meets up with Sally and Antoine, who were stationed to scout out Sonic's progress at the Crab Compound. That's a funny facility. When Sonic screeches to a halt, his teeth fall out and bite Antoine on the foot. It's gotta be painful. However, a few panels later, we see Uncle Chuck in the middle of robot processing, in which they say that he's been turned into a robot. Clearly not the case. Again, this is before they had a proper design for roboticized Uncle Chuck. I don't remember when Sadiam came out, but I think by then they should have had at least a design for him, but for whatever reason they didn't. Also, I do not know why there's a splotch on the thing. I feel like that might have been the scanner's fault. I don't know why. Anyway, Sonic tries to get Uncle Chuck back, but Uncle Chuck decides to whistle out for his personal guard dog, Mutsky, who actually is roboticized. Look at that. It's actually kind of a cool design. He actually looks very roboticized. But based on the red text bubble there, Mutsky's not looking very happy to see Sonic. In fact, he tries to attack Sonic. Sonic's too quick, but he does manage to evade Muskie and Uncle Chuck, leading and heading back to Robotnik. He reports that everything is back as is. Also, little thing I want to point out, I love the little cup that says "I hate hedgehog" or "I hate Mondays." I feel like him and Garfield get along great. Anyway, so Sonic is ordered to send missiles to Knothole, put in the coordinates to Knothole, and fire missiles at it. Sonic obeys, but instead sends missiles to his largest factory, and basically leaves Robotnik in pain. And yeah, that's it. That's all the comics. That is where the comic officially ends, with Sonic basically heading back to Knothole. Whew. So, yeah, that is. Whew, that was a lot to go through. So that was the preliminary Sonic the Hedgehog comics. Those are the preliminaries, but don't worry, we still have quite a long to go. We got a long road ahead of us. Next time we meet, ladies and gentlemen, we will be doing the Archie Sonic, the actual Archie Sonic series, the one I'm sure many of us are familiar with, issues 1 through 10 to start off. If I need to branch out, I will, but we'll be doing issues 1 through 10. So look out for that. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really, really fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Next time we meet, issues 1 through 10. Like I keep repeating. See you guys then.